Good evening. Welcome again to Crossing the Line here on Facebook Live. We're also live on Abundant Life Radio and on Channel 6 on CTV. Not 100% sure, but you can check it out if you have CTV. As usual, it's a pleasure to be with each and every one of you. We welcome you. We are glad every Thursday to invite you with us to share in whatever it is that we want to discuss. And as usual, we want to make sure that you participate in the discussion.
Welcome. We thank you for being with us here again. And as Roxanne said, we're glad to be here. We're on Abundant Life Radio. We're on Facebook Live. And if you hear, those of you who are on Abundant Life Radio, if you hear some interactions, you will understand that we are just interacting with those on the Facebook page. We will try as much as possible to bring you in to our discussion on the Facebook page. I want to say a special good evening to everyone who is joining us. Good evening, Casmin and Manelva. And
Elkie.
Somewhere along the line, Elkie is not there yet. Elkie is being called to come in.
Okay.
Yes,
She's been summoned.
Yes, she's been summoned. But we as usual have to do some of our housekeeping before we start. And I want to do this because this is a very special couple. Elkie is here.
Good night,
This is a very special couple. Today, Raymond and Winetta are celebrating their anniversary. And I want to say a very special happy anniversary to Raymond and Winetta. You know, Raymond and Winetta. Raymond has a bit of something in common with me. I mean, Raymond was very smart. Raymond, as an Antiguan, went out looking for a Guyanese girl. And, you know, Raymond maybe making sure that he has all the nice little Guyanese cooking going. So, Beer, happy anniversary.
Happy anniversary.
God
guys.
bless you. And, you know, I am happy to know that somewhere along your journey, somewhere along your walk, we were able to impart some knowledge. So God bless you. And, you know, it's always a good thing. Green, good evening. Welcome to the program. And in that same atmosphere whilst we were talking, I had a bit of a reflection sometime during this week, and I was thinking about the land of my birth and the land that I have adopted. I started initially with, you know, I grew up in Guyana, spent 23 years of my life in Guyana, and then spent 30 years in Antigua. And there are times when you kind of ask yourself how the transition has been and how it has been for you living in a land that is not your birth land. And then I was reflecting on some songs that I have heard over the years from different Calypsonians, and I was like, you know, I am proud and I'm happy to say that I reside in a land that the people are proud of, you know, where they're born and where they're from and so on. And I know that my wife can attest to that based on the fact that she was born in Antigua. And, you know, she has more of a navel string, if so to speak, buried here. But one thing I can say for sure, good night, Shane and Eileen, good evening and welcome. One thing I can say for sure, Roxanne, like Beer, love she Guyanese man and love she Guyanese food. So somewhere along the line, I tied her down with some good Guyanese cooking. So I think that on a serious note, we were able to cross our cultures and marry our cultures and you know, like, understand each other and get to connect with each other. There are certain foods in Antigua that I literally love, and there are certain foods that I I can't deal with. I can't deal with fungi and I can't deal with pepper pot. But I love dukana and I love seasoned rice. You know, so there are things. So yesterday Roxanne was in the supermarket, and for those Guyanese, and I think there are some Antiguans that know about it. She was in the pharmacy, and they had there was a communication about Corilla, or I think in Antigua they call it bitter lemon, um, and about whether she likes Corilla, and the guy talks about you could relate to them.
Okay, the reason I did that is because his statement come over
No,
like
no,
I
that's
have.
not Elkie, that's
I mean,
Casman.
Casman. His statement come over like I have a type. So it's like you're a Solomon guy and he's
Well, you have a type. You've had a
I
type
love
for
this guy. He's like
you've had a type for 18 years.
this one. Yeah, yeah. So the one of the staff was talking about Corilla, and she was asking another staff member, if he ever had it, and he said like it's the worst thing ever. I don't know, people eat that thing. That thing's so bitter that don't make no sense, and he going on and on and on. And I'm there. I'm not saying anything, but then he looked at me and he said, "Miss," and I said, "I love it." Before he even got to say what he was going to ask me, I said, "I love it," and he said, "Oh, I have a crazy," and he's going on and on, And she asked me the question, if I know what Corilla is. I said, "Of course I know what Corilla is," and she's like, "You sure?" Because from her, what she was thinking is that I'm Antiguan. So what do I know about Corilla? So I said to her, I'm married to a Guyanese. And then there was another man in the line as well that he said, this man better realize people fight for Corilla. And she's like, how you know? And he said, well, I'm Guyanese too. Anyway, the bottom line is, I have my Corilla lined up to collect next week, she said. So
Yeah. So there are in terms of food, what foods from Guyana do you enjoy most?
I can't even listen. I tell Jess all the time, I've never seen a country that has so much different types of food. And I love egg ball, I love metemg, I love cook up rice, I love pepper pot. So it's like roti and curry,
chow mein.
Oh my god! So like, there's not a one thing that I can say that I like, but I love the fact that there's so much to look forward to.
One thing that is not Guyanese, but Roxanne, I think when we went to Guyana for the first time, when Roxanne went to Guyana for the first time, we went to Guyana for the first time as a married couple. And I introduced Roxanne to the Guyanese style of Chinese cooking, if that makes any sense. The Chinese in Guyana cooks a different fried rice than the Chinese in Antigua.
Yep.
So from the time Roxanne tastes that Chinese in Guyana, Roxanne backslide from Antigua Chinese food. Roxanne said, I go back.
I didn't know what it was in there until what was it?
It was the saive. It was
no, not saive. The other thing. It's like saive, but it's bigger. It's like a string bean.
Oh, the bora.
Yes.
Okay.
I think that is what it was.
Okay. Well, they in Guyana and what when I spoke to one of the Chinese guys, there's a Chinese guy that I know in Antigua, and I said to him, why is there a difference between food tasting in Guyana and Antigua? And he said to me, listen, when you are in Guyana, there are certain vegetables that you can get at a very cheap rate. He said, you can't go and get the vegetables that you get in Guyana, in Antigua. So he said, for example, you can pick up a bundle of saive and you can pay next to nothing for it. So he said saive is very important in the flavor of a food. And he opened my eyes to something, because even when I'm cooking, like once you cook with a lot of saive, you do get that nice flavor going through. So it's a difference. And Green is supporting me. This, I mean, Green made a couple of trips to Guyana, so Green probably knows. Casmin, the Guyanese pepper pot is the one to die for. That is the one that I think that has Roxanne tied for 18 years. That if I tie you with any food, I think the pepper pot is
The thing is with the pepper pot, at first, the sweetness of it got me, because I thought it was just stew. I thought it was just like how we do, like stew, goat or whatever. And then after the first time, it's like, that was it. That was it.
Yeah, but tonight we're not talking about food. As you see in our topic, we put up courting disaster, and we're asking the question, why do persons run after a person that is in a committed relationship? And we want to look at a few things and look at and see the reason why this is something that excites person. Now, just before we got on, I see I think it was Orin. Orin said, well, no to marriage and yes to dating. So he said, if persons are dating, then he thinks that it's a fair game. So in our discussion, we will see if it's a fair game, or if it's something that you should say, okay, well, I should stay away from this. But here we go. Good evening, Jonas. Welcome to our program.
The thing is, I have found, and that is just me personally, I have found that if I am out and I have my ring on, 90% of the time, nobody bother me. If I forget it, it's a different story. So for me, I used to think that, it doesn't matter, because if you talk to some people will tell you, some of them don't care whether you're married or not. But at the same time, from my experience, I have found that ring is a buffer. That ring is saying, because I believe that there's still a lot of people that have some kind of class, some kind of, respect, and morals to say, listen, that person is married, or they might say something like, oh, your husband is a lucky man, something like that. But they would not pursue. So for me, that is important. That is something that I realize, that when I don't have my ring on, it sends off a different signal.
There's always a bit of a feel, because even though you might find a woman with a ring, and it's more so women, because you might find a woman with a ring, and then somebody might be trying to feel something out, and one of the areas that I've found over the years is that when somebody says something, if what they're saying is not entertained, then that's the end of the conversation. Once it's been entertained, I just remember one of my workmen was telling me there was a woman that was passing at one of the job sites, and one of the guys looked out and said, oh, something, you look good. And then the woman just looked back and said, yes, my husband told me that this morning, and then he just walked off. So like there was this big laughing on the job site, because it's like the woman is kind of like, what you was telling me is nothing new. But I know that, for example, being in the hospitality industry, you have guys that tell themselves, okay, well, a married woman coming down on vacation, she's just looking something and then just going, just leaving. And likewise, there are some married women being in the hospitality industry would just come down because they want to play and then they leave. But then the thing is, to what end? What is the end goal in all this here? So
yes, and I think one of the main reasons also is selfishness. Because if you, let's say you didn't know, it's a difference when you don't know and when you know, from when you know. Because if you know that this person is in a committed relationship, whether you found that out right away or you discovered that should be something that causes you to say, listen, that's it. That I'm not crossing this line. But if you still persist it means that you are selfish, because you are not in any way thinking of what harm you could cause. You're in no way thinking of, the many lives that you may destroy, especially if the person has a family. All you're thinking of your gratification in that moment, and what you are potentially looking for from that person. So a lot of it is rooted, to me, in selfishness.
Yeah, because I mean the thing with the whole scenario, and I think I want to pick up on the point that Jonas just made, because one of the things that we were talking about, we had a conversation, I think it was yesterday or the day before yesterday, so along the same line, and you have someone that is looking at an individual and is saying to themselves, I want to be with that individual. However, you're just putting yourself in a position whereby you said, okay, well, I want to have this experience, or I want to see what is going on with you. You look like things are going on for you, and I want to share in that life. You look like you have it well put together. I want to share in that life. But you said it in the best possible way yesterday. That life that you are seeing that is put together, there's a lot of work that went on behind the scenes to get that life to where it was. So then you may see a man's wife, or you may see a woman's husband looking all nice and proper and so on. You don't know that the wife probably get up and say, okay, well, make sure that you take care of your face, and the husband said, okay, well, like, let me help you do this. So then you thinking to yourself, okay, well, this is an experience that I would love to have, because this man looked well put together. And, I said to Roxanne, one of the things that I do, I cut off very early. I hear about sliding in DMs and somebody sliding out the DMs. Nobody never D or M me, because I know that they know for sure. You go on my page and my family is displayed. You see that I'm married. I wear my ring. The only time I ever take off my ring was when they were scanning me when I break my hand, when I didn't listen to my wife to tell me go and check for my hand, make sure my hand break. But that's the only time I've taken off my ring within the 18 years. I nearly said 21 years because I see 21 of it. Yeah, so it's just that, as Roxanne said, it's just rooted in selfishness. I want to. I want to get there.
Yeah. And the thing is, sometimes you're looking at the person, like I said before, you're talking about, oh, your wife must be lucky, or your husband must be lucky. You're looking at the thing from the outside. You're looking at that person from an outward appearance.
Yes.
You don't know what's going on with that person. And like we always said, the person might be right for that person.
Yes.
Or the person and that person might gel so they function well together. Doesn't mean they're going to function well with you. You might have something about you that would cause a friction if you were with that person.
Yep.
So it's not good to just look at somebody from the outside and think, this looks good.
Yeah.
Or I would be good in this position. It's always like never the case.
Yeah, it's also, from a respect point of view, because when you look at something, I would ask, yes, when Reese is back, and those Risa has just reappeared. Risa has been typing since 8 o'clock, so now Risa just land a scripture. Risa found a nice picture with you and them girls that I'm supposed to post. It looked good, so don't worry. Yeah, but when you think about the respect factor, and you think about the fact that, okay, well, this person is in a committed relationship or in a marriage per se, because if I'm to go with what Orin said, dating is fair game. But if that person is married, that person is in a committed relationship, the disrespect that you're showing, it's like you're going into that family and you don't care, as Roxanne said, whether that person has children, whether that person is like their wife is there, their husband is there. You're just saying, look, I want to insert myself in there. One of the other things too, and the subtle one is, that you have to be very careful with. When they ask you if you have a brother, or when they ask you if you have a sister.
Yes.
Because if you ask me if I have a brother based on how I operate, there is no way on God's green earth that none of my brothers function like me. No way.
Everybody's different.
Everybody's different. So if you're asking if I have a brother, asking a woman if she has a sister, it means that you're making an inclination that, well, look, you're interested in that person because you want to create a little bit of a conversation for them to say, why are you interested in my sister? What about me? And all that is just an opening, you know. So
yeah, and like the Bible says, give no place to the devil, because you have to pick it up. We have to learn to pick up on the signs right away. I remember one time I had this situation where somebody, like guys in particular, they would ask the weirdest questions. Like they would say something and then they would say, I don't know how your husband would feel. They don't know if you're married or not. But they're saying they know, because they want to know. So it's like, let me throw something out there to see where we're going with this. So now if you, let's say you and your husband are not really 100%, and you are not careful, you know, nobody bad like he, and that is an open door. That is an open door for that guy to say, listen, yes, I have a chance. Let me go in there and let me give her all the things, or talk the talk that she wants.
Yes.
Until I get what I want out of her. You know, so we have to be so careful with even just a simple statement or just a comment, and realize that, listen, the motive is wrong. I think you had a situation like that too.
I wanted to pull on what Risa said, and then Jonas made a good point. So if you could pull on what Risa said.
Well, okay, Risa said it does not matter. What matters is if you...
I'm going to show it so you could read it better.
It doesn't matter. What matters is if you give space, people will fit in where you allow, and then cause loads of trouble for an entire family. With or without my ring, my face put off people, because when I like stripping this. Marriage is hard work, and most see the result, not the tribulation that had to be endured to get there. Yeah, and that's what we said. They don't know what goes on behind the scenes. They just look at a product and they decide, listen, I want that.
Yeah. They see the end result, and the reason why I wanted to read Risa's comment even before I read, I think is Jonas T. Cass, but I think it must be Cass T. Jonas, because I'm always serious with my husband and females. So it's okay. So they always look at the outer part. They don't know the pressure you go through to keep your marriage and your relationship. And it comes back, it marries the 2 points that marriage is hard work, and the work that you put in to maintain that relationship is just like we were just saying earlier. I came to our marriage, and we spoke about it last week, with loads of baggage. Roxanne came to our marriage with loads of baggage, and we had to get to the point whereby we said, okay, well, you know, I'm going to work with this baggage. There's something that we have to throw off because we overweight, and there's something that we can keep and we can work with, etc., etc. But you are on the outside looking in and they're saying, okay, well, your husband is a lucky man or your wife is a lucky woman, and you don't know what's going on behind the scenes to make sure that that relationship is maintained. So 18 years for me or for Roxanne might just be 18 minutes for you. You might say, you might not be able to live with me for 2 seconds.
Yes.
But, you know, but Roxanne can deal with me because Roxanne knows me. You know?
It has been said, a third party can only enter a marriage if either party allows it. And that is true. And that is why we have to be so careful what we allow or what doors we open, because a lot of times something don't just start. You know, we don't just get up and you go to work today and then you decide to just cheat on your spouse. a lot of times it starts very small. It's the subtle comments that you smile at. It's the subtle remarks that you say, oh, you love strippiness, and the little flirting here and there that you do nothing about. So we want to encourage each and every one of us to be mindful of the little foxes, as the Bible says. Be mindful of those little subtle hints, and don't ignore them and think, okay, it's just gonna go away, because they are digging to find out what exactly is going on with you and your spouse, and they look at your reaction. And men especially are very good at that. They look at your reaction. If you give a smile, it's an invitation. I would hear men with some conversations like, oh, and she smiled at me and she did, and like sometimes it means nothing. But they run away with some little things. So we have to be so careful of, picking up on these things very quickly.
Hello, the woman nowadays sharp to us, so I say men especially.
Well, I can talk from that side, man.
The woman out there real sharp right now.
I heard about the woman too, but I have that experience.
the woman not easy, we. Yeah. So we come back to my point that I made earlier when I was talking about the guys by the beach. And one of the reasons why somebody would say, okay, well, I would go after a married woman or a married man is because, okay, well, I don't have any responsibility. I don't really care about anything. So I would go after a married man or a married woman. So it's like because
we have $1.
So when you were in, I work around Jolly, and I remember I went to this conference in the previous ALP administration, and I think Malvin Joseph was the Minister of Tourism at that time, and they had this little conference at Royal Antigua at that time. It wasn't Royalton, it was Royal Antigua, and I remember Malvin Joseph said to persons, oh, it seems as though rent-a-dread is a big business, so he's going to have to start growing his dreadlocks. So it seems as though like women come down just for that. And then we ask a woman at one point, why do you come to the beach and just go for the beach, guys? And they said they're not looking for any commitment. They are just looking to play. So these guys on the beach look like they don't have any responsibility, and that is what it is. So it comes down to our point why persons will go after someone, because in their head is like they're looking just to get a fix, or they're looking just to get a woman in bed or a man in bed, whatever you, and then they move on. I pick up again another point that was made on the Facebook page. Yes, it's a situation whereby you have women coming in with some very aggressive attitudes, because I have spoken to colleagues who have said to me that women approached them and women said to them in plain and no uncertain terms, I don't want to have any long-term relationship with you. I just want to sleep with you. And that's it. And if you tell me that is not the epitome of selfishness, I don't know what is.
Somebody had told you one time that when they heard about Guyanese men too.
Yes, I went to a location that I wouldn't call the location. And when I got to the location and I went there to conduct my business, I'm on my ring. Well, I think it's must be the first and last time, because maybe she must have sent out the memo. And she looked at me, she said, is it true that Guyanese men love strong? And I replied to her, and I don't know, sometimes I just get some replies fast. I said, well, I wouldn't know, but you can ask my wife. That was the end of that conversation. That woman never looked at me since. I went back to that place of business, conduct business, and the woman never said anything to me after that. So it comes with an early shutdown. If you entertain it, it will, it will continue. Now there are persons who you do business with that are very friendly to you, and you go out, and when you go to you speak to them, they address you in a nice manner, in a friendly manner. Because I always talk about, there's a young lady that works at North Coast, and I say this: there's a young lady that works at North Coast. Her name is Fern, and everybody that comes in, okay, love, thanks, love, and that's how she is dealing with all customers, whether male or female. Now somebody else might listen to her and said, oh, maybe she's flirting with me, and that kind of thing. But the thing is, when someone is in the position whereby they're coming on, and when somebody is just being friendly.
Yeah. And a lot of times too, is basically what we talk about, they wanting to be in that position, not only, let's say, for sex or for just to be with that person, but sometimes financially. They look at something and they see, listen, this looks like more stability than what I am presently experiencing, and I want to be in that position because I'm noticing, okay, let's say this wife stepping out in style, looks like she's being taken care of. I want to be in that position. And they try to sneak their way in, and as we said before also, sometimes they don't care. They blatantly say, listen, me want you. I've heard women say that thing, listen, I want this man. And they do whatever they have to do to get the man's attention. So it's up to us now to be in a position where we say, listen, no. And just like you said, just shut it down.
Yeah.
Because sometimes they want to act as if you're stupid. Like somebody was saying something to me the other day, and when I said to the person, what is your motive? Because if I say I am married and this person is still saying we can still talk on the phone, for what? So if your thing is just to get to know each other, why would I want to get to know you?
Yeah.
I'm like, I said to him, go find a young lady, a single young lady to get to know. What's the purpose?
They want to talk about your children.
So it doesn't make sense, but they try to make you look like you're stupid by saying, just friends.
Yeah. Delvin.
Good night, Delvin.
Yeah. Again, if you come to the party without any kind of moral character, if you have no morals, if you tell yourself, well, look, everything is fair game, you're not going to see anything wrong with it. But anyone that looks at things that way, you have to think about them. And this is my simple reasoning as as a regular individual. I always look at things from the point of view, okay, well, if you want to enact the replacement theory, if you want to enact the man better man or woman better man theory, that replacement theory will always be in place. So what if you get to the point whereby you become the main? So somewhere along the line, you will be replaced. You will be replaced. So you're putting yourself in a position whereby you will be replaced. So if that is the slippery slope that you want to go along, then by all means, go along that slope. But then what is going to happen? Because the same person that tells themselves, okay, well, man better man or woman better woman, just be running and balling and saying, oh, he did this to me, or she did this to me.
Forgetting that they did it too.
Yeah.
And a lot of times it's not, well, most of the times there's not even anything behind it, because I have seen and heard of situations where a guy would make a bet with one of his friends. Bet you I can get this person. Bet you I can get this person. So if you are not careful, if you are not wise, you're there thinking, I'm such a catch.
Mm.
And, you know, this other person is flirting with me and so on. And you don't realize
You're
all
just a
you
bet.
are is a bet.
Yeah.
You know, as long as they get to what they want, it's like mission accomplished.
Yep.
When you're left now, yourself, your husband, your wife, to pick up the pieces.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes, sadly, it never gets back to where it's supposed to be. And, you know, it's just something that we have to always be mindful of and to be wise in how we go about our carrying ourselves, what we accept, what we laugh at, and what we smile at. And, you know, before we know it, our marriages are destroyed.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. We have to, when we go about, pick up at certain subtle hints. One of the things that I've said over the years, and I always have a funny talk with one of my co-workers, and we're always talking about like women, and this person like you and that person like you, and or this person, you see how this person. I said, well, I didn't see because I passed, so I wouldn't see how this person. But then there are little hints. Just a couple of days ago, I listened to a friend of mine, and he was talking about a woman just approached him, and a woman said, buy me a Vitamalt. And he said, listen, I want to buy me Vitamalt, brother. And he called his wife to him. This is the person that buy Vitamalt. So he is saying to me, he said, look, James, even if she thought to herself that the Vitamalt would have been the introduction, I shut it down.
Yep.
One time.
Yep.
So he is not giving no kind of opening, no kind of hint, no kind of nothing. He shut it down one time, and he said, I don't know if she meant anything, or I don't know where it was going, but I just make sure that I shut it down right away. Yes, yep. Cheryl, that is correct. Warning signals indeed, you know.
And sometimes when you bust them, they act like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
Like I wasn't doing anything.
Yep.
Because they try to come subtle until you pick it up.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times too, we have to consider the repercussions. We have to consider the repercussions. I had a pastor who used to always say, cry before. You know, don't wait for something to happen and then cry after, and then looking for forgiveness, and if I should cry before. So you, as soon as that situation start to pop up his head, think about the repercussion. Think about your children. Think about your spouse. Think about all that you have built and all that you've invested into your relationship before you go ahead and do something foolishly and then regret after. Because like I said, sometimes it never comes back. And that person walks away, and a lot of times they don't have any responsibility. They don't have any commitment. So it's easy for them to just move on to the next victim. While you are there having so much to do in terms of, let's say it ends up in a situation where, God forbid, you lose your marriage. And you have all this thing going on with court and so on. You don't have time. All you're doing now is looking back with regret. So let us look at our children, look at our spouse, and realize, you know, what benefit will this bring to my life in the long run, and make our decision from there.
Yes, yes, Louise. She is indeed glowing. Is the Guyanese blessing. But I want to. Natasha. Yeah, Natasha, and you see Norman.
Oh, Norman. Good night, Norman.
Norman. I was just talking about Norman's niece, because the girl that works at North Coast is Norman's niece. But I just want to pick up on what you said, and I want to also highlight the fact that husbands and wives need to have conversations, because when you have something going on outside, like for example, you have this secret. Somebody says something to you, but then in your head you say, "Oh, it's not a big thing," but then it is the little seeds that start to grow. you know. And if you have a conversation, for example, you call and you speak to your wife or you speak to your husband and you say, okay, well, this is the situation. They're already aware of what's going on, and they can then look for certain things or tell you to be careful of certain things based on the information that you have given them. But then if you decide, okay, well, I can deal with this situation, and then it's just, sometimes it's just a moment of weakness. Because here is the reality. If there's this individual that you're always having these small chats with, all it takes for you to have is a disagreement with your wife, a disagreement with your husband, and then that individual that you're having a small chat with, you end up and have the conversation.
Be careful what you say to them.
You understand? So then you have to make sure that you plug all the gaps. Make sure that you're as much as possible, plug all the gaps, plug all the loopholes. Make sure that you don't leave any kind of loophole. Leave no loophole for the devil. Don't let him walk in. Don't even let him step through the door.
Yeah, I want to read what Natasha said as well. If you can pull that up.
Yeah.
Yes, and Natasha said, I believe too, we have to ensure we properly close every relationship door from the past before we enter into a new one. Because sometimes the feeling of needing closure from the past can cause issues. And that is a big, big, big one. I think that we see a lot of times, because you don't close certain doors. You think that nothing is wrong with this and nothing is wrong with that. It's my friend. And it's something that is very concerning for me and for us when we hear couples or an individual in a marriage say, this person is my best friend. Somebody from your past, somebody that you were in a relationship intimately with, and you're saying, this person is my best friend. I share everything with that person. I tell them everything. So whatever is going on with you and your spouse, you find yourself running back to that person.
Yeah.
You know, you talk to this person every day, and that should not be the case. That is a recipe to disaster, because if that person still has feelings, just like you might tell yourself is innocent, it's just somebody that I vent to, as James said, as you share what is negative in your relationship, that your spouse don't do this, your spouse don't do that, they're going to put themselves in that position where they say, listen, I can't believe, and remember when we were together, I used to do this, I used to make sure, you know, and it causes that person to start to think, what did I lose out on? What did I miss? And it's so easy for you and that person to rekindle that relationship that causes problem in your present relationship.
Yeah. Delvin, yes, happy birthday to Cathy. I see you took over a trip to Hawaii.
Wow.
So they're done on board. So happy birthday, Cathy, and welcome my very good friend Colin John Jenkins. Colin, yes. Colin, I must say that I connected with the review. Is that's the name of the show? I connected with the review, and I don't know what your bearded friend's name is, but I give him, a loud round of applause. He seemed like the adult in that conversation, and I was happy to listen to that interaction. So good job. Yeah. So carry on, Rock.
Elkie says that is why it's important for men not to have females as best friends. Likewise, the female not to have male best friends. That to me is a red flag. And for some people, it's not a problem. I can have a best friend of the opposite sex. Nothing's wrong with it. But for me, if you're married, your spouse should be a best friend. That should be the person that you're sharing everything with. You cannot, for me, I cannot swallow that pill that you live with somebody and you're just basically married. You're just husband and wife. But then there is somebody else out there I would hate to be in that position that there's somebody out there that my husband is sharing his most intimate secrets with and telling me that that person is his best friend. That is a no-no for me.
You know, I just as we were sitting and I was just reminiscing on something. Now, I am 53 years old. In another couple of months, I'll be 54. And I was thinking just recently, I said, what is that would make a young girl say, well, I'm attracted to you? And my conclusion is, okay, well, she sees something that she wants. I don't think that she can say, okay, well, I am a nice strapped in young man with muscle, because I am aging, if so to speak. So I am saying to myself, the only thing that she could be after is she wants to be in a better position from a financial standpoint. Because from a sexual standpoint, I can't satisfy you, because I can tell you this, you know, on crossing the line. When Roxanne done with me, I done. So I know, for example, there is something else that she must be after. So I have to think, okay, well, is it worth it? You know,
because we love that, you know.
Is it?
Don't let him fool you.
Is it worth it? So I have to put certain things in place, and I have to come and reason within my head, and I have to see, okay, well, what is the motive? You know, so.
And Cheryl pointed out something in terms of.
Let me try to go back up and try to see if I could find Cheryl's comment.
Right here.
This one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, she said, so Brother James, women pick up things early, but some men think they are strong and nothing can happen until they get caught in the slips. So I want you to talk about that, because sometimes, and I don't know if it's just from a female point of view, because I don't know of any statistics on it. I haven't checked it out in terms of how often a man fall in comparison to how often a woman fall. But there are times when, as women, we think that sometimes men ignore the warning signs more than women, in this thinking that, you know, I'm macho, I can handle it, or I don't see nothing wrong with it. And then a woman would more likely pick up on something very quickly. And so speak to that in terms of, is it something that he's macho?
Well, the thing is, there are a couple of things. First of all, a man, and that's one of the things that we were highlighting last week. A man does not like to be told, okay, well, don't do this and don't do that. And there are different ways in which you could go about speaking to your spouse based on who you're married to, without him having to be told. Because, for example, if, and I think Roxanne expertly does that, because she's picked up over the years. If she say to me, look, oh, is that now this toilet one fixing, Roxanne will just say something one time and then we'll just leave it like that. And then I may get up and I may say, okay, well, let me do this, because maybe the silence is getting too much for me. So I would go out and do this. So, but then it's like just putting down subtle hints and saying, okay, well, do X, Y, Z. That's on one point with the man. The other thing is, I want to take my time in how I say this, because a lot of times a woman may get to the point whereby she may pick up something. A woman feels something, but there are times when it can go one out of two ways. It can go very emotional and say, okay, well, and get dramatic. And then another time is when she will be more measured, because a woman picks up something, especially when it comes to a woman. and a woman showing vibes towards her husband or her, or her spouse.
Mhm.
And a woman would pick up when a woman is giving off vibes, because she kind of look, this woman is giving off vibes.
Mhm.
Because, and the reason why I say that, there is a very good friend of hers, of ours, Marcella. Marcella would call and Marcella would say, oh, where's my sugar sticks? And then Roxanne would give me the phone and said, okay, your sugar sticks is on the phone. And it's nothing. But then somebody would just call and somebody say, I want to talk to James. Just, I want to talk to James. But the way in which that person said, I want to talk to James, Roxanne is saying, no, something is wrong with the way in which this person is saying, I want to talk to James. And I must say, the majority of the times, she is right. So
one of the things I realize that is most times the case, when you have a situation where the husband and the wife knows somebody, or the person knows both of you, but for some reason they don't talk to you at all. They only talk to the husband. They don't seem to like you for whatever reason. There was no falling out or anything. But their thing is, I am his friend and I'm not your friend. That is a red flag for me. That is always a red flag for me, because if you're genuine and I did nothing to you, it should be a situation where you're able to speak to both of us.
Maybe they're afraid, yeah, man.
They're not the reason to be afraid unless they do something. And then on the flip side as well, we want to talk about people who are married and flirting or going out there and let's say they are the one pursuing somebody that is single, knowing that they themselves are married.
Yeah.
We want to touch on that too, because a lot of times we find, again, we look at things as always innocent. We look at things as always like nothing is wrong with this until it gets to the point where it goes too far. And then we're trying to pull ourselves back, and sometimes we've gone too far over the edge, and there's no coming back from that.
And it comes right back to that whole thing that I was mentioning about. I think that there are times when persons still tell themselves, okay, well, I want to seem as though I still have the edge. I still have it. So I still want to go out and have this thrill. Well, I can bag a girl. I still have this little thing going on. So it's like, I want to see if I still have something, and then you start to go down a slippery slope, and then by the time you try to turn back, it's too late, and the young lady now is all emotional and all mixed up, and she wants to take out the wife, not take her out for dinner, but she wants to make sure that she replaces. So this is always the thing. I mean, and Kasmin said it, married bachelors. I don't know if there's such a terminology, and married spinsters.
Yeah, but I like you hinted on earlier too. Why would you want to be with somebody like that in any way? Because just like you said, if you are in a relationship that started genuinely, you met somebody, both of you were single, you spoke, whatever it is, or sometimes, let's say somebody's in a relationship, but the relationship is not good. In terms of you're not married, but you're talking to somebody, like I think Bia, you said about quoting.
No, it's Oren.
Yeah, you're talking to somebody, you realize that, let's say this person have some ways that you're seeing some red flags, and then somebody else came on the scene, and that person approaches you and so on, and then sometimes that other person open your eyes to what you could have been experiencing in terms of, you realize that, you're not being treated well in that relationship, and you say, listen, I'm seeing something as different. This person is showing me something as different, and I now recognize the fact that this is what I want.
Yeah, that is if you're not different. Married. Yeah.
You're not married.
Yes, correct. Yeah.
Yeah, this is what I want. But then, when your relationship starts on that footing of you supposedly took that person from somebody, you're always gonna have in the back of the head, your head, what if the same thing happens to me?
Look, watch your back.
Watch your back, because it's always going to be, if you did it to that person, you can do it to me. So no matter how it starts off, and you know, women have a way of starting to drop off their words and say, oh, he said she can't cook, and me can cook, and me this and me that. You're never going to be comfortable in that relationship. You're always going to be thinking, my turn is going to come someday. You're always going to be watching. So trust in that relationship is going to be a problem.
Yep. Again, you know, we highlighted the point of letting them know that, well, look, you are committed, you are responsible, you have a response, you are in a committed relationship. There's no ifs or buts. And as I said, I don't know about you, but I hate to see, for example, you have a profile picture, and you have up a profile picture, or you have up a profile, and in that profile there's nothing that has you committed. There's nothing that has your wife. There's nothing that has your husband. There's nothing that has your children. So it's like you're fishing.
Sometimes not even a name.
Not even the last name. You understand? So you're fishing. Persons should know that you have a commitment. Persons should know that you're connected, and persons should know, well, look, based on this is the case, I have to back off.
Yeah.
You know, so.
And as I said, we don't want to even be in a situation where we are taking on somebody else that is married, coming to you, and the first thing they tell you, me and my wife are not good. We just live together. Yeah, she's too miserable. She's this and that. We're actually waiting for a divorce. And you now get caught up in that thinking, listen, I eventually will be in that position. For just like we said before, financial reasons, stability, I will be in that position soon. And you're waiting and you're waiting and you're waiting. And for whatever reason, that type of divorce seems to take years.
Yeah.
that type of divorce take long to go through the courts.
Yep.
Why are you there waiting with the promise that, listen, I'm going to leave her? You know, we're not on good terms. I'm just there for the kids. I'm just waiting until this. I'm waiting until that. And you're waiting forever for nothing.
But the thing that,
like Cosby says, we sleep in separate rooms. Always the case.
Well, I think if you think about the separate rooms thing, I mean, when I was growing up, all families used to sleep in separate rooms. I never could have figured out how so much of us ended up in my house. My mommy and daddy sleep in separate rooms for as long as I know them, and there was about 2 after me, you know, so 2 or 3, you know. But you have to, as an individual, once you're in a committed relationship, and I would say, I would even take it to the point of committed relationship, and then take it further in terms of a marriage. You have to know your worth, because I know and I understand that you know, we sometimes want to take on the US system of dating, and then you're dating about 5, 6 persons and so on at the time. Once you're in a committed relationship, you have to know your worth and know that you're valuable. One of the things that we've always said on this program, and we will continue to say, we will be advocates of a healthy marriage or a healthy single life. So if you know you're going to get married and you're miserable in your marriage, make marriage loan, please. As simple and plain and straightforward as that. So it's better you live a single life and you're happy than you live in a marriage and you're miserable.
Yep.
You know, that's us.
Yep.
You also don't want to be anybody's second fiddle. You know, like it's like I can't come over tonight, I can't be there because the wife and I don't understand for the life of me, how is it that an individual would accept, okay, well, I am sharing. I know you would have said that. I'm in a relationship, but I am sharing. I have to wait until um, the course is clear, and like and then I run in.
Yeah,
Come on,
you're
have
worth more than
some
that.
value.
You're
Yes.
worth more than that
Yep.
because you are, as James said, you are there waiting until the situation is good for him.
Mm-hmm.
Then they can be with you, or until the situation is good for her, then she can take you on. So there's no leaving the spouse. It's not happening. All of those things are just something to keep you holding on.
Yeah.
There's no leaving. It's just something like they want to have their cake and eat it too. So they're still with their spouse. And what you find in a lot of situations too, after you've wasted so many years waiting, you're now old, and this man somehow got some awakening and decide to tell you, listen, I decided to, my wife and I are going to work it out.
Going back to my
Or
family.
my husband and I are going to work it out. And you're left there brokenhearted when you could have been in a relationship with somebody who values you to the point of saying, listen, this is the only person I want in my life.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to, as James said, value ourselves, know our worth, and not be somebody else's second choice. We also have to understand, like I said before, there will always be a lack of trust when the relationship did not start on a solid foundation.
Mm-hmm.
There will always be a lack of trust. Nobody wants to be in a relationship where you always have to be checking and checking and checking. That's a full-time job.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to be checking phone, you're going to be checking computer, you're going to be checking to see where he's going, where are you so long, and both of you are going to be miserable. Because you already know that you didn't get in legitimately, you're always going to think that somebody's going to replace you along the way.
Shikwele says something, you're waiting and you find out that you're not the only one waiting.
That is true too. That is so true. Sometimes you think you're the only second, you realize you're the fourth and the fifth.
Yeah, everybody get it. But I mean, them guys good, man. Them guys good. Them
guys are women too. I don't know how they do it.
Well, guys and girls, they're good. Yes.
Yeah. So as we said too, we have to think about the long term, and as we said, cry before. Think about the consequences of you stepping out, whether you are already married and looking for somebody else, or you're single and taking on advances for somebody who is already married. It doesn't work.
Yeah. So we want to make sure that we protect our relationship in that regard. Protect your relationship from your spouse's point of view. Protect your relationship from the other from the other individual's point of view, and build a hedge around your relationship. Make sure that you let persons understand and let persons know, look, I'm in a committed relationship. I've gone to places, and the first thing someone asks me, well, is how is your wife, and how are the children, and that, well, look, they genuinely are interested in your extended family. Not only so, how you doing, how was your day, and so on. So when somebody asks, how is your wife, how is your children, the children, I'm sure the children must be big and so on. There's a young lady that herself and Roxanne were in the hospital at the same time when we were having Josiah, and she always asks about Josiah. They're about the same age, they were born the same time and so on. So it's like somebody is always genuinely concerned with what's going on in your relationship, and they celebrate with you. You celebrate an anniversary, they celebrate with you, and not just looking for some loophole to say, okay, well, I'm gonna sneak or I'm gonna do this. So
something jumped in my head too. Watch the women at the church picnic that want to serve your spouse while you're there. They want to do the most, like, you're ready to eat, and leave that for the man's wife to do. you know, and in the flip side, if there are things that a woman's husband is supposed to be doing, you don't jump in and start to show in your services.
That's a jump ahead.
Yeah, that's a jump in my head a while ago.
Some jump ahead. They look to see what you have.
They're trying to say that they always want special prayers.
The wife taking too long.
That's why she's supposed to take care of her responsibilities.
Bring it to show her attention. Folks, that's all the time we have. I want to appeal to those of you who are listening to us on Abundant Life Radio. You know, Abundant Life Radio has been doing a great service and serving Barbuda for many years. So Abundant Life Radio broadcasts our program every Thursday and also broadcast it again Saturday nights. And they never asked us for a dime, you know, never said, okay, well, contribute this to the station. So in any way, shape, or form, you can make a contribution to Abundant Life Radio. Just reach out to Apostle Clifton Francois. They do quite a lot of, make charitable donations to schools and that kind of thing. So in any way that you can make, you
can even reach out to us as well.
Yes, and you can reach out to us. Yes. So just to let you know, we are always broadcasting Abundant Life Radio, and we're on Channel 6 on CTV. Mm-hmm. If we're on Channel 6 on CTV. That's why we always put on our TV faces and our Facebook faces. So thank you, those of you who connected with us on Facebook Live, on my page, on the Crossing the Line page, on the Crossing the Line page on YouTube. We're also on YouTube. So if you haven't gone on to Crossing the Line page and liked Crossing the Line page, please go out and give us a like on Crossing the Line page, and let us know that you're there. Yes, Elkie. I know you don't have CTV, you have Trump TV. Yeah. So God bless you.
Good night, everybody. Enjoy
Good evening.
Your weekend.
Yes. Right now I'm watching live and eating my guys.
Lucky you. Good night.
Yeah, bye-bye.
Bye.
Talk to you. See you, Casmin and Natasha and Cheryl and Delvin and Elkie, if Elkie is still awake. And
Jane was on.
Yes, Kenneth. Good evening. Thank you, Miss Jones and Eileen. Good evening. Yes, I saw Shane earlier. Mm-hmm. I don't know if Michael James is there. The good thing about it, Kenneth, you can go back and you can look through, because the program is always on. So just go on our Crossing the Line page and you can go through. But you know, we have to make sure that you're there and have the interaction.
Night,
Minerva and
Yvonne.
Yes, Yvonne, aka Elaine.
And Delvin and Kathy.
Yes,
Delvin. Kathy's up.
Yes,
so,
Kathy.
Good night, Kathy.
God bless you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.